they will not swerve from it. Living Faith Kids.
Daily Devotions for Africa.
Sakramenti ni nini? Na misingi yake iko wapi katika Biblia takatifu? Wavijua vipindi vya kanisa Katoliki? Ni alama na vyombo gani vinavyotumika katika maadhimisho ya ibada zetu? Ungana nasi kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni katika kipindi cha Sakramenti na Biblia. Ni kutoka hapa Capuchin TV, tukiikuza imani Katoliki kwa pamoja.
Hello viewers, and welcome to Catholic Broadcasting Ministry Capuchin Television, and to this special program taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name once again is Joseph Segujobi, your host, and of course today I'm having a guest with me. But before I introduce the guest, I want to tell you that we'll be talking today about palliative care. And then we have an expert here with me who will be talking to us about that, who is the Chief Executive Officer at the Nairobi Hospice, and that's in the person of Dr. Asaph Kinyanjui. How are you? Say hello to our viewers.
Hello viewers, good afternoon, how are you? Thank you for having me, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Dr. So, may I ask, so that people get to understand what is this palliative care, what can we say about it in general? What does it mean?
Yeah, so palliative care is a new terminology that has been introduced by the World Health Organization, the WHO, and it's a special service that is focusing on patients and families and a holistic approach to them. Looking at mostly patients with hard-to-cure illnesses like cancer, HIV, organ failure, and such. And what palliative care providers do is address the physical symptoms. For example, most of our patients have a lot of pain, so address that pain. Look at the social aspects. How is the society supporting this patient and the family? So counseling, so that is the patient and the family can be able to cope with the disease. Introduce spirituality, which is a key aspect. Because again, most of our patients start feeling disconnected with their maker. So again, the spiritual leaders come in. And also we guide the patient through the legal aspect so that they can also be able to make legal decisions. So it's a care that is offered to patients and the family, regardless whether they are going to get cure or not, so that they can be able to cope with the disease and be able to make very informed decisions regarding their health.
Yeah, you are saying there are two things I'm picking up out of here. One is a holistic care, which I always call biopsychosocial spiritual attention. Is there any technological part of it?
I think now with the technology, definitely there is use of technology in terms of delivery of that care. One of the things we realized when you have COVID is that there was very limited physical interactions. So even adoption of telehealth so that we can be able to deliver issues like counseling and such plays a role in supporting patients.
Then that makes me to call it the biopsychosocial techno-spiritual approach to care. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And another thing I'm getting here is, so by the time you just briefly, I know you are still going to talk about that later, when you mentioned about the spiritual aspect, you say whether the person is going to get a cure or not.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
For example, you might have a patient in early stages of cancer, for example, but because of maybe limited resources that they may not be able to get cure, even if the disease is in early stages. But they need somebody to walk with them through that journey if probably they might live for 1 year, they might live for 10 years, but they will live with symptoms, they will live with a lot of emotional anguish, they will live with a lot of spiritual distress, and they will even live with a lot of legal challenges. So you need somebody, and that's what the palliative care team does, is to work with the journey with this patient and the family. So their patients, and you realize they already have the advanced disease, so it's not probably curable. So then they still want somebody to work with them in that journey. And the other patients who have, and they are in early stages and they get cure, so they come into the palliative care team as they continue with their active treatment. So for example, at Nairobi Hospice, we have patients who are receiving chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and once they get cure, then they move out of the palliative care team and they continue with the survivorship.
Okay, so because that really caught my attention, because of course we know they're in the maybe chronic kind of diseases, and then they, of course, when people begin to suffer that, they think I'm going to die, you know, like. But you see, one part that I'm just getting, that's what I was pointing our attention to it, is that the acceptance of what is happening and able to deal with it that way, so that when somebody will even die, you know, you can die smiling. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And not dying in pain, even though the pain is there, but you know it's part of, it's not just a pain that is inflicted on you, it's a pain that is associated with the disease, and you have to, what can I do? You know, and you're able to say, God, you know, whatever it is, take care of it. Am I right?
Very well, because we believe no one deserves to live or die in pain.
That's a very powerful one. Are there any models of this kind of care?
Yes, so we have different models. We have outpatient models where patients walk into a palliative care unit together with the families. For us, we insist that this care should be both the patient and the family. Okay. So there are those who come to the clinic and they are served at the clinic. There are those who are too sick, and therefore the palliative care provider has now to provide this care at home. And also there are patients who are already admitted in hospitals, and what we do is also now provide inpatient services. So there are those different models depending with where the patient is.
Okay, so could be outpatient,
yes,
and could be inpatient.
Yes, or it could also be home-based.
Home-based.
Yes.
So how do we group the home-based now? Is that still an outpatient, isn't it?
It's slightly different because, for example, we get calls from, for us, we work closely with the community health volunteers. So they'll call us and say, we have a patient in region X and he's very sick and can't get out of bed. And we need your services. So the team will organize and visit that patient and provide care at the patient's bedside at home.
So that is like inpatient in the house
or inpatient at home.
Yeah, that is I was just thinking about that because of course in my profession too, we sometimes use the issue of inpatient and outpatient.
Yes.
And when we talk about the inpatient, we're talking about those who were there in the facility where they are being taken care of.
Yes.
Outpatient is somebody who is coming out from there. Now, but this person is inpatient in the house.
In their house.
Okay,
yes.
Good. And of course, I know you have already talked about the components of this. Do you want to elaborate a little bit about them?
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. So, for example, most of our patients have a lot of physical symptoms. Like this morning, I had a patient with cancer of the tongue, and the biggest complaint is that they can't swallow, and they're in a lot of pain.
Oh my God.
And also they also have a lot of nausea and vomiting. So as a palliative care provider, those are the physical things I look at and address. Once I'm able to consult them, there's the symptoms, now I move to how are they coping with the disease. And what surprises us is that a significant percentage of our patients even are not quite aware of what they are suffering from, because either the healthcare provider didn't take time to break the information to them, or sometimes they discussed about their diagnosis with their loved one and not the patient. So even they may have breaking news so that at least the patient can be able to appreciate what the disease they're having, which stage, and what are sort of possible treatment outcomes or management outcomes could they be able to get. So that's an aspect of communication and breaking bad news. Once and now the patients appreciate what they are dealing with, now we look at how are they going to cope now that they have known the disease.
Yes. Is okay.
Yes, so now that the issues of counseling now comes in, then the psychosocial support. So we mobilize even the communities so that they can be able to support them effectively. And finally, now we move in, and I'm happy that we are receiving a lot of support from the spiritual leaders. So again, also we can be able to support these patients from the spiritual perspective. So at least they can have a very good relationship with their maker. And finally, we also now start even discussing about the legal aspects, because most of these patients some of them have very young families, and the disease might take toll of them. So how do they make decisions that who takes care of their children if they are not in a position to? If they have 2, 3 plots or a phone or a bicycle, who inherits that bicycle when they are no longer there? And also to help them also make very medical decisions. If they get too sick, would they want to be in ICU? Would they want to receive aggressive interventions and such or not? So the palliative care team is able to guide them even on that aspect.
Which one is aggressive intervention?
So, for example, like the example I've given of a patient with the cancer of the tongue,
yes.
and he's already in advanced stages. So you might find a surgeon who says, I want to go and remove your tongue and probably make some modifications on your face. There's a patient who will say, for me, that's not the kind of care I want to receive. And if they're able to document, then it helps them even in terms of if they are not in a position to make or to air their views, then there's a document that people can make reference to when regarding their treatment.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm also thinking, because maybe you need to come and employ me, because I see you talking about, of course, they receive counseling, and at the same time, they actually, you can collaborate with the spiritual leaders.
Yes.
Why am I saying you should employ me? I'm not seeking for employment anyway, but is that, because, part of this program is we're looking at what they call the integrative psychospirituality.
Yes.
And of course, where I work at the Psychospiritual Institute, that is what we do.
Yes.
We actually, we're able to look at the 2 areas of the psychological distress,
yes,
as it affects our spirituality, or how our spirituality actually interacts with the psychological distress. And of course, when the client brings that up, are we able to actually address it without actually getting too many people into care? So we can combine the 2 together. And I think that's a good thing to look at, because that we are going to that, because a lot of things today we get to know that your spirituality actually helps you to heal better. Even when you are not healing, like I said the other time, to accept the fact that, yes, okay, this is there, but how do I deal with it gracefully in such a way that when I die, even when I die, I'm at peace?
Very well.
So have you experienced people dying at peace? Yeah.
Yes, actually, the patients, we have been able to work with them throughout the journey for probably a period of 6 months or more. You find even when they are dying, they are very at peace. They even probably sometimes even are able to say goodbye to their loved ones and say, I know now I'm getting to the end, and I want you to live in peace, and I will release in peace. And those patients, you find even when they are dying, they don't even die in pain. And that's why one of the things as hospices we look at, how to ensure that our patients are able to live as comfortable as possible. And the mention of spiritual aspect actually plays a key role. My experience is that once you have a spiritual leader on board and is able to provide effective spiritual support to these patients, we actually even reduce our dosages for the strong opiates we give to these patients. Because you find now the psychosocial pain has been managed, and now the remaining part is more namely the physical pain. And you realize actually you're able to reduce some of the strong opiates. So spirituality and psychosocial support plays a key role in this case.
So thank you very much, Doctor. We have been talking to Dr. Asaph Kinyanjui, who is the Chief Executive Officer at the Nairobi Hospice, and he's been with us. So we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, he will still continue even to tell us how to deal, because as he was talking, I was thinking about, could we say, does the palliative care has any what they call preventive aspect? Because from your description, it's more of like curative or supportive kind of a treatment. And does it have I don't have to get to that stage. When we come back, we'll look at that. Stay tuned.
Two testaments. A testament is an old English word meaning covenant.
To get two testaments as your Skiza tune, send Skiza followed by code 7389971 and send it to 811.
Two testaments.
The Seed magazine is located at Chiromo Road, at the Consolata Media Center in Westland, Nairobi. Our vision is to be the leading Christian publication in Kenya, reaching homes, churches, institutions, and individuals across the country, in line with our mission, sowing the seed. The Seed is a religious-oriented publication dedicated to reaching out to all Christians. The Seed was launched back in 1988 by a small team of Consolata missionaries. The Seed has since grown into a 52 full-color magazine with a larger team of professional and support staff. Today, The Seed has a target circulation of over 10,000 copies a month.
The Seed Magazine.
The Seed magazine has impacted the heart of many readers over the years, and we're offering great service as follows. Creative concepts. Preparing for next steps. Professional photography. Designing product. We do adverts that brings visibility to your product. The Seed.
Welcome again, viewers, and to Capuchin, Catholic Broadcasting Ministry, Capuchin Television, and to this program, taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name once again is Reverend Dr. Joyce Segunjobi, and I've been here since the beginning of this program today with an expert, a medical doctor, Dr. Asaph Kinyanjui, who is the Chief Executive Officer at the Nairobi Hospice, and of course, well, he will tell you where it is located later, and now you can visit. Of course, maybe sharing his number so that you can call them when you do need such help, beautiful help, as we've been talking about today. So we've been talking about the palliative care, and of course, he has taken us into different aspects of it, especially the model, the approach that they take, the holistic approach, which we agree it is biopsychosocial-techno-spiritual approach to treatment. And of course, I was asking before we went on break if because the description has been towards the kind of a curative or supportive, let me not even say curative, a kind of supportive care, to journey with you through this process of your distress or this physical or psychological, whatever pain that you are going through in your sickness, especially when it's a serious one. But to look at it also, is there any preventive side of this?
Yeah, there's a bit of preventive side of it. For example, there are patients I see and I could foretell as the disease progresses, they might experience some symptoms. And if I'm able to provide any intervention to prevent those symptoms from happening, that helps. Again, what we also do as palliative care providers is that most of our patients are accompanied to a facility by relatives and such. So we also take that opportunity to educate the relatives about non-communicable diseases, issues of lifestyle modification, issues of screening, so that also they can avoid getting the disease. So there is also that component of empowering the non-sequence to remain healthy and without the disease. But also there is also the prevention aspect of impeding so that the patients don't get to that level.
To that level.
Yes.
Okay. So what are the procedure? Like at what point do we know, or do I know, or do I come to realize that I'll be needing, or maybe my loved one is needing palliative care?
Yes. In the past, people used to refer patients to the palliative care when patients were almost dying. But research have shown that that actually has many disadvantages. So what we are advocating nowadays is that patients need to be referred immediately a diagnosis of a life-threatening illness is made. So
like cancer?
Yes. So if you go to let's say you have a lump, or maybe a patient has a lump on their breast, and they go and they are told, we have done investigation and you have a cancer of the breast. Regardless of the stage of the disease, they need to be referred to a palliative care unit so that they can be able to receive a lot of psychosocial support at that level, even as they undergo active treatment. Yeah. And if the disease then gets worse, then at least the palliative care team is able to support them throughout. So it should commence at the point of making that diagnosis.
Yeah, I think because that support is very important, I think at the earliest stage.
Yes.
Because what I feel, I may be wrong, actually make people die faster is the thought of the, I'm going to die. So if they are not really well supported, they break down in their mind, the whole body start degenerating. Because I believe strongly, I can't prove it medically, but I believe strongly there's a strong connection between your state of mind and your body. They relate in such a way that is, if your mind is very strong, your body responds to that strong mind. Yes. If your mind is very weak and threatened, or you are fearful, your body starts. Am I right?
Yeah, it's scientifically proven. In the way your mind is able to cope with the threat, it also has an impact on your physical body. And I have seen instances, patients who have been referred to us in other stages of the disease, and they have a lot of psychological trauma. And they're almost giving up, and some even are actually even very suicidal. So you find a patient who tells you, I feel based on the diagnosis that I have HIV, I have cancer, or my kidneys are failing, I feel like I'm just giving up and I just want even to terminate my life. So if you sit down and be able to provide the required psychosocial support to this patient, they actually become mentally stable. And you find this patient now coming up very well. And some of these patients, you'll find them 2 years down the line, you ask them, are you still want to end your life? And they tell you, my life is so sweet. I can't end it at this moment. Yeah, so it's very important that we take care of their psychosocial areas.
Okay, so but you also want to tell us something about the different issues that actually can surface in a palliative care.
Yes, so apart from the issues I've mentioned, there are one of the things I would also want to highlight is the impact of the disease on families. And as, because I know the Capuchin TV also has a lot of support to issues of family well-being. So you find sometimes patients, after the diagnosis, there's a lot of disintegrations within the family, and that causes a lot of harm, not just to the patient, but also to the other family members. I've seen instances where men walk out of their families and they say, I married a lady with 2 breasts, has cancer of the breast, one breast has been removed, and they walk away. So they leave this now lady fighting the disease and now fighting to maybe bring up a family as a single parent. So we really need to urge couples and family members to continue supporting each other. Okay. I've also seen instances where young children are left because both parents have died from the disease, maybe like HIV. And then you're also wondering this, probably they are even less than 10, who is able to take care of them. So the aspect of even having extended family support when a loved one is affected is very critical. Again, the communities need also to appreciate that they have a key role in supporting these patients and the family. So the aspect of stigmatization needs to end, and they need also to appreciate that I tell people that no one applies to get ill. No one fills a form and say, I want to get ill. So today is patient X who is your neighbor who is sick. Tomorrow it could be you. True. So let's also look at how, as communities, how do we continue supporting each other, and especially the affected patients with these illnesses. Yeah, as you're talking, I just remind, I used to have a patient like that in the U.S. where actually she's been told she had only 1 week to live. Yes. And I remember the neighbor, because the son was far off, with another town or city. It was in Los Angeles actually, and we were in San Francisco axis. And then so I was called to actually minister to this person, not even psychologically, but the support I gave to this woman actually, and I really helped her. And I told her, you are not going to die yet. And she believed that, and we prayed together. We do a lot of things together. And I remember one night within that 1 week, the neighbor was calling me if she had died. I'm like, oh, no. But guess what happened? For about 3 weeks, because it was during the getting close to the it was Lenten season. We're getting to Easter, and she was worried that she would not be able to go for we refer to all the holy what do you call it, Holy Thursday. And I told her, you will go. And guess what? We went together. Apart from that day, we went out together to even have a lunch, about twice. And she was doing, of course, she still had the issue, but she was accepting it. But problem started when the son came to take her to the nursing home or whatever place she took her to. She did not last that week. She passed on. So the support, I'm just trying to support what you're saying, is very important. But when you're talking about this support, I was also thinking about something. Maybe you can share light on that. In my culture, we used to say that the person who is taking care of the sick person is even more sick. So we're talking about the care of the family, or what is the family supposed to do. What care can the family also receive when they are taking care? Because they could also go through a lot of psychological or physical even stress and devastated. Actually, when in most of the instances we forget the caregivers, and they play a key role in supporting these patients. I remember the last month I received a call from a lady who is taking care of the husband, has issues with the lungs and continuous oxygen at home. And this lady said, I need a break from my home to go and connect with my fellow women, go to the salon and have my hair fixed. And that's what now even the palliative care does, is to provide respite care. So you take care, you offload that burden from the loved one for a day or two or for a week. Then they can be able to go and re-energize and come back and continue supporting their loved one. Because I think that's very important too. We are way down to when we take care of a sick person. Thank you very much, Father Kinyanjui. I say Father, sorry, Dr. Kinyanjui, and for this beautiful, maybe the last word for our audience, because the time is over. You can give us the last word and of course introduce where you work and how we can reach you. Yes, my last word is that we need to be cautious and to be aware of our environment. And for those who are sick, let's support them as communities and let's refer them to the palliative care unit so that they can receive the holistic care that we have discussed today. And thank you, Capuchin TV, for giving me the opportunity. I work at Nairobi Hospice. We are a charitable organization. We are based in Upper Hill, just next to Kenyatta National Hospital. And our doors are open Monday to Friday for patients and families. They can walk in and we'll be able to serve them.
Okay, your number?
Yeah, my number is 0721 43 66 36. So they can reach me through that number.
Call it again for them.
0721 436636.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. And once again, I'm Jesse Pao Segunjobi. And please subscribe to our program. Always subscribe, and not just subscribing, share with your loved ones. Because the information we have shared today, maybe don't let it be for you alone. Also share with those who you think may need it, or just spread it as much as you can. You never know who you are helping. Once again, thank you for watching, and God bless you.